Looking his daughter straight in the eyes, King Ferdinand II of Aragon quietly said, "Juana, you are mad." Those words were enough to send a ripple of whispers through the hall. Everyone had already heard the strange story of how Queen Juana had been carrying around the remains of her late husband. So, was the king right? Was his daughter truly unfit to rule the kingdom? This frightened woman didn't seem well, and perhaps the best solution for everyone was to strip her of real power. Infanta Juana, the daughter of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, the famous couple who united Spain, was born on the 6th of November of the year 1479 in Toledo. The royal family was large and lively. 9 children, 5 of whom survived to adulthood. They all lived under the strict rules set by the devout Queen Isabella. Juana stood out from her siblings with her complete indifference to religion. When her mother found out, she was horrified. She tried to punish Juana, to reason with her, but it was no use. Her 4th child was stubborn in this matter like no other. Juana's sisters soon wore crowns of their own. 2 of them became queens of Portugal in succession. Another married the heir to the English throne and eventually rose to the same status as their mother. Juana's fate was decided in the year 1496, when she was married to the son of Emperor Maximilian. The young man, Philip, had been called the Handsome since his youth, and rightly so. Princess Juana, by contrast, seemed plain. Short, with a long face and those unfortunate large ears. Fortunately, fashion allowed her to hide them under headdresses. On top of that, Juana was reserved and not prone to frivolous cheer. A dreary companion for a handsome prince. Of course, Philip the Handsome began cheating on his young wife almost immediately. He fulfilled his duties, but nothing more. Juana soon discovered her husband's infidelity, and it triggered terrible outbursts of rage. She personally cut off the hair of one of his mistresses, or, according to another version, stabbed her in the face with scissors. Where had the melancholic princess gone? Yet, one after another, children were born. Eleanor, Charles, Isabella, Ferdinand, Mary. Not a single child of this couple died in infancy, which was unusual. Juana's sisters mostly lost their children shortly after birth or even before. But Philip and Juana's heirs were healthy. Only the princess herself was not in the best state. No, physically she was fine, but her spirit seemed broken. In 1502, when Juana visited Queen Isabella, her mother noticed the change in her daughter. Juana was deeply affected by her husband's betrayals. This worried Isabella greatly, especially since she herself was gravely ill. Soon after, Isabella of Castile passed away. Juana became the heir to the throne, as Isabella had declared years before her death. But her father, King Ferdinand, disagreed with this decision. Another unhappy party was Juana's husband, Philip. He hadn't been mentioned in the will. At best, he could only claim the title of prince consort. They needed to leave the Netherlands, where the couple lived, and travel to Castile to assume power. But even before Juana's arrival, Ferdinand began spreading rumors of her madness. The Cortes, who had to make the decision, were torn. On one hand, there was Isabella's will. On the other, was Juana truly capable of ruling? Philip the Handsome acted foolishly. He declared himself regent, while his wife was still alive. He even ordered people to call him King Philip I, though he had no right to the crown. But time quickly set things straight. In 1506, the self-proclaimed king died. After this, the story becomes murky. King Ferdinand relished in recounting how Juana refused to bury Philip, how she threw herself on his coffin, kissed his decaying body, and behaved altogether abnormally. In short, her father was excellent at shaping public opinion against Juana. By 1507, when they met, almost all of Spain was convinced that Juana was out of her mind. And if that was the case, how could she possibly rule? After her husband's death, Juana gave birth to her last child, a girl named Catherine. The child and her mother were quickly locked away in the fortress of Tordesillas. Now nothing stood in the way of King Ferdinand ruling alone. He even remarried. Juana's father died in 1516, and power passed to his grandson, the son of Juana and Philip the Handsome. This young man, who would later become the famous Emperor Charles V, once visited his mother with his older sister Eleanor. The meeting left Charles deeply unsettled. If Juana hadn't been mad before her imprisonment, she certainly seemed to have lost her mind in the fortress. She ate only bread and cheese, allowed no one near Catherine, who remained with her, and completely neglected hygiene. Or was it all lies? Had Juana been slandered once again to keep her from her rightful crown? No one knows for sure. After all, visitors were not allowed to see the queen, and she was cut off from the outside world. Princess Catherine was soon taken from the fortress to be married to the King of Portugal. Juana refused to be separated from her, and after her daughter's departure, she fell into a deep depression. Catherine, weeping, left for Lisbon. She had to obey her brother's will but was deeply worried about her mother, from whom she had never been parted before. Juana died on the 12th of April, 1555. Nominally, she had been Queen of Castile and Leon for just over half a century. In reality, she spent almost all that time imprisoned. Her family had decided long ago that she was mad.